Welcome back to the pink color series. I'm going to be talking about if I had to hit the reset button and had to design a brand new business today, this is what I would do. So just as a side note, I started my business at my kitchen table, just organizing people's Google Drives. And I was never writing content for them and hitting posts on social media and writing blogs. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was getting paid. Usually if I was doing writing, it was like 3 cents per word. Otherwise, I was getting paid like $15 an hour. It wasn't anything astronomical, was not anything crazy. But I want to talk about if this business disappeared today, what I would actually do. So I did not have $1 million idea. I did not have investors. I literally built this during nap times and bedtimes. So it is something I talk about in all of the pink collar series videos. What made me start everything is I was 19 years old. I had a 6-month-old baby. I just found out I was pregnant, and with Christ, when I went to my ultrasound, I was actually 10 weeks along. I was a full month ahead of where I thought I was, which is so crazy. Anyhow, not the point of this. And I was also an online college student. So I just really did not know how I was going to do it, having 2 kids under 14 months. And I just knew there had to be a different way. My husband worked away quite a bit. He was on the oil field at the time. He ended up going into becoming a heavy-duty mechanic. Not the point of this, but the point is I knew that there needed to be a change and a shift, and I did not start to be a millionaire. I did not start to build a 6-figure, but nothing. Everything I have now was out of pure luck and strategy. I see those two things together because I was able to be strategic and really look at data and look at where I was good and look at the alignment and look at my client's result and really build on that. That is what got me there. But when I say luck, it's because I feel like I was always at the right place at the right time, but that came from showing up consistently. That came from being willing to put myself out there. So in a lot of ways, it wasn't luck. It was probably just statistics. I put myself out enough times. I worked with enough people. I was willing to be laughed at. I was willing to fall flat on my face, which is a whole other conversation I think we need to have. I think it's like a Japanese proverb that's always stuck with me, and it's fall down 7 times but stand up 8. That is something that I think about consistently because there were so many launches that I had that did not work out. There were so many social media posts did not eat the way that I was going to. There were a lot of flops, but then there was a lot of really amazing results. Like I grew my first TikTok to 30,000 followers in about 60 days and I was able to replicate that 5 times. So I had covered that inside of my membership, which is super great. Should definitely go join. Anyhow, what has been really interesting about that process is I tried to go to Instagram. I tried to go Facebook. I tried to grow other different things that did not work out very well for me. But TikTok blew up and I did it 6 times. So it wasn't just like a random accident. The other thing is I was willing to own up to my craft and own up to what served me well. And I was also willing to not look at myself in the lens of a failure ever. I always learned something. Okay, I'm getting off track. It was a really important notes to add. So like I said, I had about 12 hours a week. All 4 of my kids I had in 4 years. So I had 4 under 4. I did not have a lot of time. My husband worked 80-hour work weeks. We lived 2 hours away from anyone. And for the life of me, we lived in a new community when the pandemic happened. And so we just did not, everyone was terrified to babysit and help strangers so I only had about maybe an hour and a half each day to work on things. And I binged on things in the evenings, like batch video content, whatever it may be, to make sure that I was successful at things. If I were going to start over, these are a couple things. I have my laptop with all of my ideas. I have a bajillion different ideas. So the number one thing I wish I would have focused on earlier is actually KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. I wish that I focused, let me talk about investments really quick. All you need is Canva, which if you have the free version, that's great. But if you have the paid version, it's between $15 and $17. I think it's like $16 and change if it doesn't. And that's the only expense. Of course, you can buy templates. You can go on Etsy and search up PLR. That means you own the rights to share that. So if you buy a couple templates, all in, you might be $50 all in if you buy a couple different templates and have your Canva subscription. Of course, the Canva subscription is per month. But anywho, I'm getting off track. The first business I would start, if I were to hit restart all over, would be KDP. The interesting thing about self-publishing, so I'm actually writing 2 books right now, which is so fun, but I've actually already published 2 journals. Actually, I'm waiting for them to be approved, and it's been a really interesting process. I've submitted them. I'm going to share in my membership, like the actual behind the scenes of what that looked like to upload them, to create them, like the guidelines start to finish, what it looks like to set something up. So as you can see here, this says, I don't even know if you can say it, but it just says they're in draft. So I have one on grief. It says feel it to heal it. It is a guided grief journal. And then I have one and it is all about, it's just like homeschooling. planner, which is I built the things that I wanted. So when it comes to the KDP side of things, you're really creating workbooks or journals around the exact things that you want. I use ChatGPT to help me with a lot of the different prompts, but I heavily edit it. I just didn't copy and paste them. There go ChatGPT did it. I used it as a guideline. I'm going to have an entire video up on this channel too on like different ways that I use ChatGPT. I was very hesitant to use it myself because I thought that it took away from my authenticity, my creativity, and blah, blah, blah. But it's actually been a phenomenal tool. Anywho, I would have started and really focus on the KDP, because if you focus on the SEO optimization side of things and you were truly sharing something that is life changing, like not to toot my own horn, but this guided journal for grief is really amazing. I'm someone who just struggles with grief, but with living people who are currently alive, but they are living very different lifestyles in terms of alcoholism and addiction and the grief of letting that go. So I know that there's a lot of other people who can resonate, whether they're black sheep of the family, whatever that may be. And so I really feel like this could change people's lives. So I would have started number one with KDP. To me, this was one of the most impactful things that I have just been very releasing for me, and I know it can be really profitable. So that would be the first one, because all you got to do is put it on Amazon, and they do the drop shipping, they do everything. And once again, I'm going to have an entire course on it in my membership, start to finish, and then how to continuously monetize that. So the second thing is I would actually monetize my personal growth journey. So this is essentially in a warped way. This is what coaching is. But I get really specific on one big transformation that I know that there is a market for, and I would sell that. I would sell it as much passively as possible. So courses, ebooks, mainly courses. I think that there is something so beautiful about being able to have recorded materials, video and audio, mainly for the fact that people can Google anything, they can chat GPT anything, but it's so different when they're coming from your personal story and your personal lens. What's really beautiful is when you get into this world, you are committed to this journey even more. The growth that you're wanting to experience becomes even more such a focal point of your life. So that's another thing that I would have done. I had not a channel, but Instagram for a long time. It was called Mama to Many. Not my business anymore. It's just Adrienne Hayward now. But I talked a lot about how to heal from trauma and generational trauma and everything. Unfortunately, that Instagram got shut down, and I randomly got let back in last December. So I was out of it for 3 years, which was crazy. But that is essentially what I was doing, and I loved it so much. The third thing that I think would actually be absolutely amazing is actually understanding how to do drop shipping, but not the way that you think, not just like t-shirts and jeans and all of that. However, if you go with Shopify, you can actually connect it to Shein, and you can select the Shein options that you want. So you can basically have, if you like shopping on Shein, Shopify, you can actually connect with all of that. But that's not what I mean. Ultra specific topics. This takes market research. This takes time. You have to be strategic. So I want to share this one. This was something my friend shared with me years and years ago. And it's something that I'm like, oh my gosh, this was like probably 4 years ago. And I still beat myself up with the fact that I haven't done it. But what this girl did is she would research different trends that I don't quite understand how she did it, but it was amazing. She would go into different search engine optimizations and look at, okay, what is the market telling us that is going to do really good? Her first business that she did was actually dog Halloween costumes. She doesn't own any dogs. She doesn't even like dogs. But she did this, and she built an entire business around it. She blew up the TikTok. She blew up the Shopify store, and it was all drop shipping. She didn't own any of the product, nothing. And she ended up selling the business after, which was crazy because I think she ended up making, I don't even want to know. I know it was around 6 figures. She ended up making between profits and selling the business. So what she would do is continuously do this, look for a really specific market, build it up, and then sell it. And she would do this continuously. And I thought that was really interesting. So that's another thing that I actually would do, but it does take market research. So it's definitely time up front. But for her, it's, of course, she probably doesn't share all of the deals behind the scenes, but for the ones that paid out, it 100% made up any lost time. So that is another one that I would do. And the fourth thing that I would do is really look at a tech savvy way that I was able to support other clients, especially in this day and age. Tech is not going anywhere. So the more that you can befriend it, the better. So for me, it was like, I was not a fan of ChatGPT for a very long time, and learning how to own that and hunker in on that. A lot of people, especially in the creative world, is one or the other. They think it's a phenomenal tool, or they think you're like the devil for using it. For me, I had to learn that I was actually just making things harder for myself, and I could have almost the entire foundations of my business done to allow me more freedom to take videos or do, like, I have a podcast and focus on YouTube and do more calls with clients. It has saved me hours per week, and it's allowed me to actually get my clients even better results because I'm able to actually offer more in our packages. I do social media management. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I do so much more than that. I do ads management. I am a sales strategist, social media expert, and that's how I support people. So anyhow, it's been so amazing. Those are the 4 things. So just recap from the beginning is number 1, I would do KDP. Number 2 is I would hunker down and focus on monetizing a really specific personal growth journey. This is the best part about personal development is it's a never ending cycle, which is so good. And it's like, it can never get boring and it's always useful. The third thing I would look at is like doing that business research idea. That's not new, but people don't do it often because it does require that legwork. But that lady that I was telling you about, she makes almost, don't quote me. I need to find out, like me and my girlfriends were talking about this, but anyway, she makes about $500,000 a year. Her business is making businesses and selling them to other businesses, and that's her business. And I love that for her. And the last one is finding a really good tech thing that you can own. That is what I would do. This is the pink collar series. This is how, if I was going to restart my business today, these are the things I would focus on doing. I love my business. It's not going away anytime soon. But this is what I would do. If the reset button got hit on my business, this is what I would do. Like, subscribe. I hope I see you guys in some other videos. I'm so grateful that you guys are here.